Prime Minister stresses the important role of churches.
Safe celebrations during this Easter.
PNG begins preparations towards hosting 2018 APEC Meeting. And awareness on cybercrime in PNG.
This is National MTV News with Mary Bartolo.
Happy Easter, good evening and welcome to National MTV News. Today is Holy Thursday in the Christian calendar. In his traditional message, Peter O'Neill has emphasized the important role that churches play in the development of Papua New Guinea.
As Christians throughout the world prepare to celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea had this message for the nation.
I want to wish each and every one of you a success in this particular weekend, but more so safe celebrations during this Easter, and may God bless each and every one of you. As your government, we have been working very hard in order to improve the standard of living and especially the quality of life for all our citizens throughout the country.
In this regard, he made special mention of his government's free education policy. The health policy, he says, has contributed to the improvement of quality healthcare in the country, and the investments in the police, CIS and the defense force are done to build safer communities in the country. Churches and their leaders are still recognized as important development partners.
Man believe me, Papua New Guinea, he got strongly believe in recognition. Lo plan the good work all church, he work him inside lo country below you. Lo look out him sit down below all manberry lo community. Make him sure that only two he extend him plan the services below education na health care he go lo all pikinini na all lapu na all sick below you.
At this time, when the weather has wreaked havoc over major roads infrastructure throughout the country, the PM remains hopeful of the progress of these works and the impact they will have on the country.
We have invested in infrastructure that is providing opportunities, especially economic opportunities and delivering of services to our people right throughout the country. This is a rebirth of our nation as we see it, because these are services and opportunities that has been lacking for many, many years.
Sarah Aupong, National MTV News.
General Secretary of the Catholic Bishops' Conference, Father Victor Roche, has appealed to Papua New Guineans to reflect on themselves as individuals and their relationship with God. He says through one's reflection and faithfulness with God, they are able to be victorious.
Dear friends, Christmas is the time of celebration of the family. And also it is a time of family reunion. But Easter is a time for each individual to reflect on his or her own relationship with God, her or his own weaknesses, sins, and our victories too. So it's not just our weaknesses, our sins, but also our victories.
Opposition leader Don Polier wants all Papua New Guineans to celebrate Easter with a cheerful heart. In his Easter message, Polier called on leaders to move away from self-interest and serve people with divine intervention. He says Easter must be celebrated with total sacrifice for a better PNG.
As the country prepares to celebrate Easter this weekend, opposition leader Don Polier says it's a time of commemorating the sacrifice God has for every human soul. Mr. Polier said PNG is no different to other nations in the world with corrupt practices visible. He called on leaders, businessmen and individuals to be cheerful this Easter.
With cheerfulness, with happiness and with purpose, because Easter is godly.
Polier said every Easter should not be the only time leaders come before God, but a time of sacrifice for the great things God can do for the people of this country.
Sacrifice power and glory for the service to fellow Papua New Guineans, our people. To sacrifice self, to sacrifice business, to sacrifice politics.
The opposition leader called for a united Papua New Guinea to move forward and see things from a Christianity level.
God bless you as you serve and our Lord and serve each other this Easter. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill in his Easter message said PNG can now move on with a similar triumph in the Easter story. Mr. O'Neill said though the first Easter occurred 2,000 years ago, the message is alive and well in Papua New Guinea today. O'Neill says the government will work with churches and continue to bring services to the people of this nation. Jack Lapave Jr., National MTV News.
A massive marijuana uprooting operation took place recently at Biapuri village in Western Highlands province. More than 100 drug addicts and criminals surrendered their lives to God. The converts undertook a life transformation crusade held by Life in the Spirit Ministries.
Biapuri village is in the Moge Kimininga tribe of Western Highlands province. They are part of the Moge tribe that lives around the Mount Agan city. The place was once known as the breeding ground of criminals and drug addicts. But the 4 days crusade that was held in that village has transformed them. A total of 134 drug addicts and criminals surrendered their lives to God. The Biapuri community supported the transformation and had uprooted 20,000 kina worth of marijuana from the village. Pastor David D. from the Life in the Spirit Ministries led the community and marched to Mount Agan City. They all carried the marijuana plant to show the people of the city that they have changed. They promised to keep the city safe and handed the plants to the police. The plants were later burnt. Vasinata Yama, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. Preparations for 2018 APEC Summit, awareness on cybercrime, and the Leh Madang Highway reopens after 4 weeks after floods destroyed bridges. Those stories and more after the break. Welcome back to the news. The international community's perception about Papua New Guinea will change when the country hosts the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Leaders Summit in 2018. With the summit just over 1,000 days away, more significant meetings between the business sector and the state are expected. These meetings are being used by the newly established APEC committees to prepare themselves for the main APEC event in 2018.
Papua New Guinea now plays a more involved role in APEC meetings compared to the role it played 10 years ago. This involvement is reflected through the increase in economic activities experienced in major towns and cities. Economic activities like the PNG LNG gas project and infrastructure developments now gives PNG the opportunity to discuss issues affecting an economy with other Asia-Pacific nations.
In the last few years, Papua New Guinea's engagement in APEC has stepped up dramatically.
Since joining APEC in 1993, PNG's contribution towards economic developments within the Asia-Pacific was limited because of inadequate funds and expertise. But as PNG's economy continues to grow through the business, economy and tourism sectors, other Pacific islands are now eyeing PNG as an investment avenue.
We also have the opportunity to present Papua New Guinea's tourist destinations. This place as a wonderful location for people to come to.
Okin says PNG's involvement in the coming major discussions is likely to attract world attention on issues relating to growing economies in the region. This is said is an advantage for PNG to showcase its culture to visiting nations. Tekla Gunga, National MTV News.
More Papua New Guineans now access the internet and are connected to the global community. However, this makes PNG vulnerable to cyber criminals or people who go online requesting for personal information which can be used to defraud them. In a bid to create awareness on cyber crimes, the U.S. Embassy in Port Moresby held a public discussion at the Waigani Library American Corner to create awareness on this issue.
With Papua New Guinea becoming more connected to the world through the internet and other digital platforms, the need to be alert to threats is becoming more important. The discussions here centered on addressing this and more.
The U.S. Embassy officials made presentations on internet-based scams in a room full of students, mostly from International Training Institute or ITI, and other interested participants. Participants learned how to identify cyber criminals when they phish emails. Phishing emails are emails pretending to be from a person or a business, containing links or attachments. Most of these emails request for an individual's personal details. They said it's best not to click on the links or open the attachments. The U.S. Embassy officials recommended that an antivirus should be installed in all computers. Never save your passwords on the computers, and to use longer passwords or even better, phrase words. The U.S. Embassy was prompted to have these discussions following reports of a scam posing as one of the country's organizations.
That there were scams going on in the country with people pretending to be from organizations with fake job offers. One that we know about is the American Red Cross, and this job offer that's going around is not actually from the American Red Cross. We've heard from dozens of people that have been scammed by these individuals wherever they are in the world, and we wanted to get information out there on how people could protect themselves.
She warned that there was nothing wrong with going online or having access to internet, but rather to be careful of cyber criminals.
Be smart when you're online. Don't give away your information. Don't give away your money, of course. Don't give away your passwords. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is, and it's probably a scam. So reach out for help, whether that's Googling it yourself or contacting the U.S. Embassy.
This is the first discussion on cybercrime, but Susan says the embassy is willing to have discussions on other areas of national interest. Bridget Komatep, National EMTV News.
The agriculture sector has moved backwards in the last decade. This is according to Agriculture Minister Tommy Tomskol. He says the ministry is now redesigning and drafting fundamental legislation to promote growth within this sector. He made these statements following a two-day agricultural summit in Port Moresby this week.
Agriculture and Livestock Minister Tommy Tomskol urged institutional heads and state agencies that prudent measures must be taken to bring back the good days of the sector. Minister Tomskol said the draft legislation includes establishing a more functional Department of Agriculture to be known as the Agriculture Administration Adjustment or AAA Act and Agriculture Investment Corporation Act. These will include key performance indicators for all commodity boards and agencies.
That each crop sector has its own plans, has its own vision, own objective, has its own spending level and priorities.
Tomskol highlighted that the agriculture sector has gone backwards in its contribution to the gross domestic product from about 40% to 25% in the past decade. These posed concerns for the O'Neill Dion government and stakeholders.
We will not carry on the usual walks. If we continue to conduct business in the usual manner, then there will obviously be no change.
PNG's agriculture sector has contributed immensely to the economy. However, the last decade has seen gradual drop in income generated from different crop sectors.
These are two major acts that will completely change the way you do business and you run the sector in Papua New Guinea.
The draft AAA Act will streamline and clarify the role of the national government on how best to manage this sector at national, provincial, district and local level government, while the draft AIC Act is an investment vehicle for large commercial enterprises and development of SME enterprises in agriculture. The summit ended with commodity board members establishing their key performance indicators to pursue and embrace the change in PNG's agriculture sector. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Community leaders from the 3 local level governments in Goilala are raising concerns over the vacancy left by the late Daniel Mona. They say after his death, services in the district have gone from bad to worse. They want the government to inform the people on what steps it is taking to provide services and also to inform them of a possible by-election.
The community leaders were concerned over the vacant seat of the Goilala district open. However, a greater concern was the lack of government services the district has received over the last 9 months after former MP late Daniel Mona fell ill and died earlier this year. More concerns are now with the Port Moresby to Tapini Highway, a highway that links all corners of Goilala to Tapini Station, where they receive much of their services.
Highway blamibla Tapini Port Moresby bagara bokata. Amas land slips me play simply since heavy all rain kind of some come up place. Na access logo Tapini Station all narabla all wards blamibla tablong tupla LLGs blamibla where me play using this road.
Mr. Siperi shared the ordeal of transportation to and from Tapini.
In fact, lately, last week, body, the road was so bad that it seemed 3 days long. Line digim, rodia lohan blongolna, body sting na. Digim sol hul or side blorodia or plan him this body side blorod in a rich in place.
Since the death of the late MP Daniel Mona, no government presence was seen in Goilala. Tapini LLG representative Rakili Raymond says the Central Provincial Government and the Goilala District Administration must update the people on what is to happen now.
No got one representative blom place. No got one also the government of talking people also you got one man by representing Mipla lo Goilala na start look all heavy where Mipla lo gadlo.
They also sent out a clear message to the Goilala administration.
Our district administrator, Mr. Jimmy Anyawa and his team to go back to the district so that only must make noise for the sake of the people in the district.
Last month, Central Governor Kila Hauda called on the Goilala people to remain calm and wait for updates on what is going to happen for the Goilala open seat, something that has not happened since. Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
After 4 weeks, road access into Medang from Leh and other highlands provinces has finally been restored. This follows the completion of a temporary bridge at Dumpu and a pass at Asas. The news is a relief for PMV operators who were stranded in Leh for over a month.
Following the completion of the Dumpu Bridge in Medang's Usinobundi electorate, the travelling public and PMV operators can now access basic government services in Medang. The bridge was completed yesterday through a joint construction by works officers from Medang and Morobe provinces. The cut-off in the road link has recorded a higher operational cost for PMV operators and has added additional fees for passengers using the highway. Betelnut and fresh goods suppliers have been put out of business, and education, transportation and communication services have been disrupted. The reopening of the highway makes government services accessible and restores confidence for business operators and local producers. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
And now a look at the finance news. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.3735 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3660 $0.4785 Australian dollars, €0.3355 and 43.35 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, copra and cocoa all closed higher. Crude oil and palm oil closed higher, while copper closed the day lower. On the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 78 points lower, the ASX closed 38 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 37 points lower. Among stories after the break, students continue their boycott of classes at the University of Natural Resource and Environment. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The boycott of classes at the PNG University of Natural Resource and Environment is now into its third week. The student body met yesterday and forced the closure of all admin operations, demanding that Minister for Higher Education, Malakai Tabar, intervene and resolve the issue. The next course of action has not been made public as yet, but for now the boycott continues. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
Since 2009, the PNG University of Natural Resource and Environment have no appointed SRC. About 3 weeks ago, the student body presented a petition to the University Council and issued a 6-day ultimatum demanding the reinstatement of the Student Representative Council.
And we don't have voice. Our students' grievances and queries have been kept. we have been suppressed from talking, and none of the student representatives has been invited in the council meeting from 2009 all the way up. See how bad it is.
On Monday this week, students mobilized, protested and demanded for a mass withdrawal from the institution. By 4 p.m. this afternoon, student leaders have yet again made a plea to the Office of Higher Education for immediate intervention.
So we are appealing to the Minister of Higher Education, Honorable Malakai Tabar, to come down and address us as soon as possible.
This footage filmed by students on mobile phones shows the confrontation between police officers and students yesterday. Yesterday, police officers from Keravat were called into the campus by the administration to force students to return to class, but students say they will maintain their sit-in strike until the Office of Higher Education addresses their petition.
And we want to make it clear when is he coming to address us. If he's not coming, this boycott will continue.
While student leaders are yet to disclose their next move, it's only understood the boycott will continue. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Students at the University of Technology in Leh will be seeking SRC support to call for the temporary release of prisoner student Lengtri Kintao, who they say may not be able to attend his graduation next Friday. Through the prison's rehabilitation program, Kintao, who is serving a 9-year sentence for armed robbery, completed a 3-year bachelor's degree in communications and was accepted into the university's master's program. However, the university's request for him to continue has been refused by the prison administration because protocols weren't followed, according to the jail commander. His close friends and coursemates say Lengtri Kintao has proven that rehabilitation can work and are calling for the CS Minister to intervene and allow Kintao to continue studies and attend his graduation next Friday.
So my call right now to the Commissioner of CIS, Minister for CIS, Honorable Jimmy Smadap, and our government, please give a chance to Lengtri for him to come and complete his postgraduate program here.
I think he met all his military requirements as a prisoner. He was eligible for parole and he was not given even a chance for parole, but now he's being kept behind bars for that long. And now all movement contablo maximum security, that means there's no freedom of movement now. So we fear that Lengtri might not come out for his graduation, that is on the 10th of April, that's next week Friday.
De La Salle Secondary School in the nation's capital donated relief supplies for Vanuatu. Part of PNG support to Vanuatu after Cyclone Pam, the all-boys school outside Port Moresby gave bales of second-hand clothes and funds totaling over 1,000 kina.
After the Category 5 cyclone that struck the eastern tips of the Melanesian islands in the Pacific, Vanuatu suffered the worst with damages to many of its infrastructures which have left thousands homeless. The statistics of damages were revealed by Caritas PNG.
166,000 people affected. 15,000 homes destroyed.
Part of the assistance to Vanuatu, all-boys school De La Salle Secondary gave over 10 bales of second-hand clothes and funds of over 1,000 kina. The donation was given to a Catholic organization, Caritas PNG, to be presented to the national government and later to Vanuatu. Last week, the national government committed 5 million kina.
What you are doing is a wonderful and meaningful gesture of love in action. It comes at no better time than this Easter, a time to sacrifice, a time to give.
Under the school's motto, the donation to Vanuatu is an example of the school's community service. Head boy Craig Noki explained this student initiative.
Vanuatu disaster appeal last week. It was launched last week. And then it took us 1 week to collect things in cash or kind. The boys contributed in ways that they gave money, clothes, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the parents of those boys who are attending De La Salle Secondary School this year. Thank you for your contributions. Your contributions has made a greater impact in someone's life in Vanuatu. We have changed, De La Salle has changed. Whatever things that the boys did in the past, they were in the past. So we are trying to, change the past to shape the future.
Stanley Ovett Jr., National EMTV News.
Australian media has reported that an Iranian man with a one-year refugee visa for PNG has been told he cannot leave Manus to seek employment until a formal resettlement policy is created. A spokesperson from the PNG government said the resettlement process takes time and requires a carefully planned and managed policy framework as well as a community engagement process to ensure the success of the transition. The spokesperson added that PNG's Foreign Minister, Rembing Pato, explained the situation to Minister Dutton at their meeting on Tuesday this week.
Australian media ABC reported that the 38-year-old Iranian man, an engineer, became one of the first to be granted refugee status released from the Australian-run detention centre and housed at a transit centre also on Manus. The report said that in mid-March, the man informed the PNG Immigration and site manager of the transit centre of his intention to travel on March 28. He told ABC he received a letter from PNG's Chief Migration Officer forbidding his travel. PNG government spokesperson said Foreign Minister Pato explained the situation to Minister Dutton at their meeting this week that the resettlement process takes time. The spokesperson said asylum seekers have been demonized in the Australian media and these news stories are also seen in the PNG media. The spokesperson said there are also further orientation programs as well as training in the Tok Pisin and English languages, cultural awareness, and workplace courses that have to be undertaken by refugees. In the interest of the refugees and the Papua New Guinea communities, the spokesperson said this is a process that takes time and must not be rushed. The man told ABC that to work means that he can start his life. Delhi Bagu, National EMTV News.
Students from the Sacred Heart Teachers College in Port Moresby have been given the opportunity to pursue their studies after receiving school fee sponsorship from the pageant organizing committee. 16 female students from the school who applied for assistance from the Miss Pacific Island Pageant PNG committee were presented this week with a cheque of more than 20,000 kina to assist them with their school fees.
Sacred Heart Teachers College female president Catherine Inaido says the girls are privileged to receive assistance from the committee as school fee is an issue for most students attending the newly established teaching institution.
School fees for us is a very big problem because firstly, if I speak about the college is a newly established college, and the students it's looking at mostly come from the remote areas, and most of us have parents who are subsistence farmers, and we don't have parents that are working like those are in the cities. So on the side of school fees, we are mostly left out.
Miss Pacific Island Pageant Coordinator, Mrs. Molly O'Rourke, says the committee not only aims to groom vibrant ambassadors to represent PNG in the Pacific Islands pageant, but also focuses on empowering young PNG women and girls who are struggling to reach their goals. Mrs. O'Rourke says the committee believes the country needs more professionals in the medical and education fields and aims to provide financial support for women pursuing careers in these areas.
As we know that the country alone has a shortage of teachers, we felt in our heart that it was right for us to give these young and upcoming girls or ladies, women from within the rural areas of Papua New Guinea, an opportunity for them to, pursue their dreams and to.
This year, the pageant committee was able to pay 70,000 kina in fees for 42 female students in tertiary institutions at the University of Papua New Guinea, University of Natural Resource and Environment, University of Goroka, Divine Word University, Institute of Business College, and the Sacred Heart Teachers College. Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
Newly opened graffiti company 675 Aerosol is slowly earning a reputation in the business sector by promoting graffiti art as a means of making a living. Owner Benjamin Dunny, a local graffiti artist and entrepreneur, is critical of recent graffiti vandalism of one of the Pacific Games monuments. He says providing opportunities for youth in the community can be a way of getting government support. Godwin Eki reports.
Port Moresby's local graffiti artist Benjamin Danny, who runs a small graffiti company called 675 RSL, has raised concerns on an interview with MTV's Business PNG regarding the recent vandalism of the model swimmer at 3 Mile. Benjamin said as a graffiti artist he is not happy with the way graffiti is used and viewed by the general public.
I want them to be well educated. That's why you voted me in as your leader, to educate and help and make your place a better place to live for you and your family.
While graffiti can be looked at as vandalism by some people, it is actually a modern art form that is valued all over the world today.
As for us as graffiti artists, we think that we are not going to support what they did. It's wrong to do illegal tagging. What we are trying to do is just to introduce a new mindset.
In line with the Sports Minister's comments relating to the vandalism of Pacific Games property, Benjamin Danny agrees and said one of his aims is to educate young people in the community that are involved in graffiti vandalism to use their talent wisely and make use of it appropriately by beautifying the city. Godwin Eki, National MTV News.
Right, Trukai Sports is next. We'll have rugby league and soccer. The details after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Telecom National Soccer League will head into round 10 this Easter weekend. A double-header at CIS Bomana here in the nation's capital will see Hekari United play host to Besta FC in the first match, and Admiralty will go up against Oro FC in the second match. In Medang, FC Pom will take on Medang FC at home, and Lay City Dwellers will be on a bye for this weekend. Shane Saroya has more.
This weekend's NSL round should be of interest to the soccer devotees around PNG. This semi-professional league is just getting better every year, with teams putting up showstoppers and individual brilliances. In round 9, Admiralty fought hard when matched up against Hekari United, only to suffer a 3-0 deficit. This time around, the Island Boys will be looking to get a win against informed Oro FC, coming off a back-to-back win against Besta in the previous round. Medang FC will be at home against FC Pom. With the home crowd to their advantage, they are looking to impress. With Alwin Komolong, the young star midfielder will have to step up his game. But FC Pom has been on top of their game recently and will not make it easy for the local boys. FC Pom's talismanic midfielder Neil Hans will be a player to look out for. Hekari and Besta's matchup will be most definitely a crowd booster, with the inclusion of Hekari's newest imports and NSL leading goal scorer Tommy Semi, dubbed as Hekari's next Kema Jack, will be out there to add to the tally with his goal-scoring form. The match at Bomana will start at 11 a.m. with Hekari versus Besta. The second match will be at 2 p.m. Admiralty versus Oro. And over in Medang, FC Pom versus Medang FC at 3 p.m. Lay City Dwellers will be on a bye. Shane Saroya, National MTV Sports.
To rugby league now, and the Bintango Gorkha Lahanis played their trial match last weekend at the Sir Denny Lay Oval in Goroka, Eastern Highlands Province. The Lahanis formed two teams. Team 1 played Wagi Tumbes from Jiwaka Province, and Team 2 took on the TNA Lions. Elijah Lovett with this report.
The oval was packed to capacity by supporters of both teams. Lahanis Team 1 was headed by former SP Hunter Gonzela Urakusi, who was very instrumental leading the young side. Urakusi scored first, motivating his young team to score another. The Tumbes fought back, scoring a try with unsuccessful conversion kicks, and the score remained 8-4 at halftime. The Lahanis capitalized in the second half, narrowing a win 12-6. The main game was played between Bintango Goroka Lahanis Team 2 and the TNA Simbu Lions. Lions proved that they would be the team to watch in the upcoming Digicel Cup. Lions captain Sunny Deng put on an outstanding performance, scoring 3 tries, leading 18-8 at halftime. The home team fought back, scoring first in the second half to narrow the scoreline 18-12. Lions dominated most of the second half, adding 2 tries to the scoreboard. Lahanis played to their fullest ability but could not overcome Lions' defense. Lions came out victorious in the end, 28-12. Lahani selectors will select a 22-man train-on squad for this year's Digicel Cup from the trial matches. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
The Hohola Rugby League Association will run a long Easter weekend competition that will see teams from around Port Moresby taking part in the tournament. There will be 16 teams in the competition with 24 games to be played in a round-robin format. MTV's Shane Saroya has more.
The Hohola Rugby League Oval will come alive this Easter weekend as teams from around the city suburbs battle it out on the turf.
Gerald to bring forward 2 teams, Morata also 2, and Waigani 1 team. Tokora we asked for 2, and Hola as being the host, we consider them to bring in 4 teams.
This competition is expected to see a huge turnout of rugby league fanatics around the nation's capital. The competition will include 16 teams who will be slotted into 4 pools, with each pool having 4 teams. Each team will have 3 matches and a total of 24 games with the normal pool matches. The 2 teams leading in each pool will proceed to the pool playoff and the winner will then play the semi-finals.
It's come festive. As I've said, we don't want to prolong the tournament. There's also the off-season commitment and most of the players who might be taking part also have obligations with Port Moresby Rugby League, so we can't hold them.
The games will start on Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning and will continue over the Easter weekend. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The 40th National Game Fishing Titles entered Day 6 today. Wednesday featured the shootout, seeing many anglers finishing Day 5 with some catches and also a few misses. Team Malolo got close to a huge catch, but after 5 hours of relentless reeling, it got away, much to the crew's disappointment.
The end of Day 5 of the National Game Fishing Titles saw Robert Doyle reeling a massive 48-kilogram yellowfin, but unfortunately it was not counted as this was the shootout round.
It's the wrong type of fish, but it was all right. Yeah, it was a good fight. It's brought me to my knees, that fish, actually, so yeah, it was good fun.
Team Osprey is performing well, coming in second after Hooker 2, with a commanding lead in the weight category. Visiting angler from Australia, Mark Bird had an impressive catch, reeling in a big yellowfin tuna, which would score his team Caballaro a handy 100 points.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's 100 points, so that's, yeah, it all goes towards the grand total at the end, and see how I end up.
Heading into the Easter weekend, angler Craig Armstrong leads in the weight category, and Madness tops the competition in the tag category for the boats. Dion Kombang, National EMTV Sports.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says security will not be an issue during the Pacific Games in July. He inspected preparations by the Special Service Division of the Police Force at the McGregor Barracks today. The Special Service Division is a joint partnership between the Police and Defence Force to provide security during the Games. Lorraine Genia reports.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and Police Minister Robert Atiafa were taken on a tour of McGregor Barracks today to witness the practices and preparations leading up to the 2015 Pacific Games by the Special Services Division. Now, as you can see behind me, there's a crowd of police officers. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is seated somewhere in the front witnessing the practices, as you can hear the gunshots behind me. Under the command of Superintendent Samson Kua, Director of the Special Services Division, the SSD has been in training over the past 2 months, practicing security procedures for the 2015 Pacific Games. Superintendent Kua said the preparations and practices will continue right throughout the duration of the Games.
Our training aspect of things, the projects that are going in the barracks, and our deployments to major project sites in Papua New Guinea.
Upon inspection of the SSD's operations, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill dismissed worries and claims of security issues.
The maintenance of security for the Games is something that we all know that we have to lift up our performance so that we make also our visitors safe during the period that is spent with us.
O'Neill said the government had invested a lot of commitment into building the Games, and the successful delivery of the Games will need the cooperation from Papua New Guinea's disciplinary forces.
Mr. Desla. And this is something that we did very successfully in 1991 when we hosted the last Games. We want these Games to be the most successful Games the Pacific has ever hosted. Nobody, I don't think, will repeat the commitments that we are doing today.
The Director of Special Services, Superintendent Samson Dua, said these preparations were not just for the lead-up into the 2015 Pacific Games, but also for the APEC Summit, expected to be held here in Port Moresby in 2018. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV News.
And that's where we end True Kai Sports tonight. Up next, the weather details. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. First of all, in the southern region, Port Moresby, mostly fine and sunny. Fine weather expected in Alotau and Popondetta, showers for Kerma, and a shower or two expected in Daru. To the Momasi region, Lae, mostly fine, and a shower or two expected in Medang, Wewak, and Vanimo. Over to the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, you can expect showers and a few showers as well for Buka, Kimbe, Kavieng, and Kokopo. And in the Highlands region, all centres to expect mostly fine weather. A look now at the forecast for small ships. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel to Finchafen, including Vitias Strait, CSE Islands to Long Island to Medang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, and Manus and its western group of islands, New Island to New Britain and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. And ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea sees moderate to rather rough with southeasterly winds at 15 to 25 knots. Solomon Sea sees slight with southeast to southwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea sees slight with northeast to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And the Pacific Ocean sees slight with northwest to southwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Okay, recapping our top stories again, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill stresses the important role of churches in his Easter message. PNG begins preparations towards hosting the 2018 APEC meeting, and awareness on cybercrime as PNG increases its internet access. And that has been the news, sports and weather this Thursday, the 2nd of April. On behalf of the EMTV News team, enjoy your Easter commemorations. Good night.